Um, so, hi, welcome to episode 4 of the Sweet Sparrow Knits podcast. This is a podcast about knitting, sewing, spinning, and just general craftiness. My name is Julie. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry and Periscope as Julie Rose Sews, and you can find my Etsy shop at sweetsparrowyarns.etsy.com. I'm recording this a little bit after 6 in the morning on Friday, so if I seem a little bleary, it's pretty early. But I do get to have my morning tea with you. So today I am drinking Bigelow Tea's chocolate chai. It's a black tea flavored with chocolate and chai. I have a little kitty companion with me while I'm recording. This is Coco. Coco, want to come over so people can see you? Come here, baby face. Let's see, I'll angle the camera just a little so you can see him. There's Coco. I guess he's not feeling social. And my other cat, Bucky, is actually right next to me on the couch. So if you hear loud purring, it is most likely Bucky. I don't know why he decided to sit next to me when he has the entire apartment, but whatever, he's my little guy. So I guess we will jump right into knitting. So I am still knitting on socks for my boyfriend, Rob. Here's the first one. It just needs its heel. And I showed you this last week. And I have cast on the second one. And I am working my way along the foot. So I decided to hand wind this yarn. For some reason, something about the rustic colors and the tweed made me feel like it needed to be hand wound. So I'm really happy with that. And this is my Dickon colorway on my House Wren tweed base. I really would like to get these done in the next week or so, hopefully. Rob and I are going to Maine for the 4th of July weekend, and I think it will probably be chilly at night, and I want to make sure that he has nice cozy hand knit socks to wear, because it would be really obnoxious if I was, you know, all snuggled up in my own hand knit socks and was like, oh, yours aren't done yet, sorry about it. So I want to make sure that I have his done in plenty of time for that trip, which will be so much fun. I got this mug when I was in college. I think it's really pretty. I got it at a store called Papyrus, which there was a Papyrus store really close to my college campus, which was dangerous. It's part of why I have an absurd amount of mugs. Oh, what you doing, Coco? Oh, he's just strolling on by. Okay, don't stand on the yarn. My other active work in progress is my calligraphy cardigan. And I just realized that I never showed you guys a picture of what that actually looks like finished. So if you're not familiar with the pattern, it is by Hannah Fettig, Knitbot. And here's what it looks like finished. Just really cozy, really snuggly. So I'll show you where I am with mine. And I'll even show you right side up this week. How about that? So here's my calligraphy cardigan. This is the back and the front. And I've made a lot of progress on this. So here's where the side shaping is. So you can see how it has just a little bit of increasing and decreasing, or rather decreasing and increasing to create a waist shape. Nice and subtle, nothing too dramatic. But I have actually now finished all of the increases and decreases on the body of the sweater, and I am just knitting in straight stockinette until it's time to do the ribbing. So I have another maybe 2.5 inches of stockinette to do before I start the ribbing. This project, you guys, I love it, but boy are these rows long. It's like 220 some odd stitches at this point. It's a lot of stitches, especially on those purl rows. I was never a knitter who was like, oh, I hate purling. But when I notice how much more quickly I go through the knit rows than I do the purl rows, I definitely feel like, oh man, these purl rows, they're taking so long. But you know, I have to remind myself that knitting is meant to be enjoyed as a process. And if I wasn't knitting those purl rows, I would still be knitting. So I'm still doing the thing that I want to be doing. So yarn details here. I am knitting this project out of Knit Picks City Tweed DK in the plush colorway. I have about 5 balls of this yarn left. So, and they're 50-gram balls. I'm hoping that will be enough. It may not be, just because I tend to like my sweaters to be a little bit longer when they're of the cozy variety. If they're like sweaters I would wear to work, then I prefer them to be slightly cropped so that I can wear them with circle skirts or gathered skirts. But for like soft, cozy sweaters, I like them to be a little bit longer so I can really curl up in them. So we'll see. I may end up ordering more of this yarn. I'm not super concerned about it because my plan is that if I need to, I can always use that for the button band. And I think that because A, it's ribbing, and B, it's going in the opposite direction as the body of the sweater, because obviously the body is knit vertical and the button band is knit horizontally. I'm not really concerned about any dye-lot issues. Let's be honest, I probably wouldn't be super concerned about it anyway. So yeah, we'll see how far I get. My plan is to do the ribbing and then the sleeves, and then we'll see if I need to order more for the button band. I actually already chose buttons for this sweater. I haven't ordered them yet, but I'm going to. They are from Katrinkle's Knitting Jewelry. I believe she's on Etsy. No, actually, I think I'm wrong. I think she has her own website. I'll put that information in the thing here. So she has really beautiful like wood-burned buttons that I just love. I love wooden buttons. I think they're just the coziest thing you can put on a sweater. She has some really adorable ones with little bees, and then when you sew them on, it creates the striping on the body of the bee. And I want to sew them on with sort of a golden yellow embroidery floss, which I think will be a really cute little pop against the lavender of the body of the cardigan. So I have to order those. So after I order those, all that will be left is to finish the sweater. Woohoo! I'm really looking forward to having this sweater done because I want to wear it. I have been a little bit concerned that this yarn is going to grow just because it does have some alpaca in it. Let's see if I have a ball band nearby. Oh, I do. Okay, so This is 55% merino wool, 25% superfine alpaca, and 20% tweed. Okay, yeah, that does add up to 100. So I'm a little bit concerned about whether it's going to grow just because the alpaca content is in it. But it's only 25%, like that shouldn't affect it too much, right? The superwash merino, or the merino wool, it's not even superwash, so it won't even have the stretch factor of superwash. That should keep it like relatively in shape, right? Honestly, if it doesn't, it's meant to be like a cozy wrapping up in cardigan. Well, the one that I'm knitting is meant to be that. So I guess it won't matter too much anyway. But it is a good thing to find out for future sweaters because I love knitting with this yarn. It is so pleasant. It's so nice to knit with. It's very easy on my hands. I just completely enjoy it. So the thing that I attempted to work on this week and then didn't was my Beekeepers Quilt. I showed this a couple episodes ago. So I am kind of at an impasse with my Beekeepers Quilt. I was homesick yesterday, and in the afternoon I was kind of feeling well enough that I could at least sit up and try to get some knitting done. I wanted to knit some hexapuffs for my Beekeepers Quilt, and I started a hexapuff with this super cute little mini ball of yarn, which I received in a swap on Instagram. And then I just thought, oh, the self-striping would look so much cuter as a square in a Cozy Memories blanket, because I really like the way that self-striping yarn and Cozy Memories blankets, you get like, that's descriptive. You got like the little, you know, it stripes and then you end up with a little square in the corner. I think that's so cute and so like tidy looking. And when you do that on a hexapuff, you only get, you know, maybe a half of one color and a half of the other color, and it just doesn't look as intentional and cute. And unfortunately, all the yarns that I felt like knitting with, all of my minis that I felt like knitting with, I just kept thinking, oh, but this would look so cute in a Cozy Memories blanket. Do I really want to use it for a hexapuff? Are any of you guys in the same situation? I love my Beekeepers Quilt. I think it's so cute and cozy, but I feel like I'm saving all my mini skeins for when I let myself cast on a Cozy Memories blanket, which I wasn't planning on doing until after I finished my Beekeepers Quilt. So I'm really trying to decide how I want to proceed with that. Do I cast on a Cozy Memories blanket in addition to my Beekeepers Quilt? But then do I just have two sock yarn scrap projects that are going to be on the needles for quite a long time? Ooh, the thought of that kind of stresses me out. I'm not gonna lie, makes me a little bothered. Oh, Bucky's getting up. Hey, Buck. Oh, he just turned himself around. So that was your glimpse of Bucky for the week. Anyway, so are any of you guys in that same situation with the Beekeepers Quilt versus the Cozy Memories blanket? I know that a lot of podcasters have both Cozy Memory blankets and some, like, I think, like Robin from the Stitching Between Pages podcast. I know she has more than one Cozy Memories blanket going at a time, and one of them is crochet and one of them is knit. I know Kristen from the Yarngasm podcast just started a crochet memory blanket. How do you balance that? I would love to hear from you guys, and with some suggestions so that I'm not in this quandary, this blanket crisis. That's really dramatic. It's so far from a crisis. I wanted to introduce a new segment this week, and it's called Knitflix. I love to watch movies, and I really enjoy series television as well. So I kind of wanted to talk about what I watch while I'm knitting and hear what you guys watch while you're knitting. Lately I have been obsessed with Game of Thrones. I am really late to the party on this. So I have been downloading the seasons past from Amazon, and I've kind of sped through them. I just finished season 4, which means that I only have one more season to binge watch, and then I'll catch up with season 6, and then I'll be up to date. I don't know how I feel about that. I like knowing that there's a show that I really enjoy that I am not caught up with, because then I have the possibility of binge watching it in the future. So Game of Thrones is one of my very favorites to watch while I'm knitting. I have to be knitting something relatively mindless or something relatively simple while I'm watching Game of Thrones, just because there are so many plot twists. If you are cabling or doing some lace and you look down for a minute, you could miss a major plot point. So that has been something that I watch while I'm working on my calligraphy cardigan or on my socks for Rob. I am super excited for the next season of Orange is the New Black to come out. That comes out on June 17th. So obviously I'll be binge watching that. I kind of want to limit myself on that to one episode a day, and I've been thinking that I will watch one episode a day of that while I am on my elliptical, because I need rewards, because I'm a child. Oh, here comes Coco again. Hey, Coco. I'm just a cat bridge. That's all I am. Now both cats are trying to smush into the tiny amount of space between where I'm sitting and attempting to podcast and the side of the couch. And Coco is bathing Bucky. Okay. Anyway, so those are both kind of like gritty shows. And the next one that I have been binge watching basically just for the last day while I was homesick, is not gritty at all. I have been binge watching Say Yes to the Dress. Oops. It's just a feel-good show, you know. It just, you know, when a bride finds her dress and she comes out and everybody starts crying, it's just so, you know, life can be tough, and it's nice to have like a very simple, pleasant show to watch. Uh-oh, I'm gonna sneeze. No, it's gone. I've lost the sneeze. My old standby show, which I can always count on, is Star Trek. So, lately I have been working my way through Deep Space Nine for, I don't know, maybe the 3rd time, and it's so good. That's something I can always kind of depend on, and I don't really need to pay attention to it because I know almost every episode. So I would love to hear what you guys watch while you're knitting, and whether you have different things that you watch based on the complexity of what you're knitting. So yeah, leave me a note either in the YouTube comments or on the Instagram post for this episode, and let me know. I would love to hear from you. As for acquisitions this week, I have only one. Well, technically I have 2, but one is at work because I was planning on bringing it home yesterday, and then I was sick and didn't end up going to work. So I don't have it in my apartment, but I will show you that next week. The other one is actually something that I dyed. I had a custom order for the lovely Meredith, and I custom dyed 3 colorways for her based on the book I Capture the Castle. I dyed a colorway called Cassandra, and I'll put photos in because I have already sent this off to her. So there's a colorway called Cassandra and a colorway called Castle, and then there's a colorway called Rose, and I liked the Rose colorway so much that I dyed myself a skein. So here it is. It's very similar to my Garden Rose colorway, but it has these little flecks of kind of an amber brown in it as well. And I think I'm going to use this for one of my colors in the Random Act of Color shawl that the lovely Periscoping sisters, Debbie and Amy, are putting out. I have to decide what other colors I want to use with this. Maybe a cream, just a natural color. What else should I use with this? I don't know. I'll have to have a look through my stash and decide. Goodness knows I have a lot of options. But yeah, this is Rose, and I'm super, super happy with it. And Meredith, if you have not received your package already, you should be receiving it any day. So from here on out, it is going to be just shop update stuff. So if that is not your jam, if that is not something you're interested in, I totally understand. I still love you. It's totally fine. In which case, I will see you next week. But if you do want to stick around for it, awesome. So the next update for Sweet Sparrow Yarns will be on Sunday, June 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And here's a look at what will be in that update. There will be a skein of Dickon on my House Wren base, which is the same colorway and base that I am knitting Rob's socks out of. There will be a skein of Robin's Egg on my House Wren tweed base. There will be Robin's Egg on the Magpie base. It'll be this exact skein. This skein came out a little bit light, which I'm actually really happy with. I think it looks super pretty, but just so you know, the tweed tends to take the dye a little bit darker just because it's a darker base to start with, whereas the Magpie base is like a really creamy, almost white color when I get it. The tweed is more of a light gray. So it's just a difference in how they take the color, but they're both super pretty, in my humble opinion. There will be Garden Rose on a variety of bases. I will have it on Nuthatch. I'll have 2 skeins. I will have it on Gosling, which is my merino cashmere nylon base. I'll have it on Magpie, which is my sparkle base. It has gold tone stellina, which I love. I'll have a skein on my Dove super bulky base, which is so squishy and soft. I really want to knit myself a cozy winter hat out of this. I'll have to dye myself up a skein. And I will have 3 skeins of Garden Rose on my Goldfinch DK base. This base is 100% superwash merino, and it does tend to take the dye maybe a little bit more saturated than, for instance, my Nuthatch base, which has 20% nylon. So Garden Rose on Goldfinch is slightly more saturated, but still super pretty. I think this would be a gorgeous cowl. And there are 3 skeins available, so you could make something relatively big. A little froggy. This is actually a new colorway. When I was dyeing the custom colorways for Meredith, this was kind of an experiment with one of them to see if I preferred this or the method that I actually ended up going with, which was all over speckling. But I also loved how this turned out. I just think the other one was a little bit closer to, the other skein of Castle was a little bit closer to what she had originally requested. So I will have 2 skeins of this colorway, which I'm calling Shy Violets, because it's this soft gray and this really delicate, gentle, buttery yellow with speckles of a beautiful deep violet color. So there will be 2 skeins of that on my nuthatch base. And then I have 2 more new colorways. And you know how I said I was a little obsessed with Game of Thrones? It's showing. I dyed up 2 Game of Thrones themed colorways this week. So this is Sansa. It's this beautiful like plum purple with gray. And this is on my magpie base. I will have 1 skein of this available. I will also have 1 skein on nuthatch available. And I will have 2 skeins on my hummingbird base in the Sansa colorway. And my hummingbird base takes the color a little bit more softly, so it has this really beautiful watercolor effect at the color transitions. And my hummingbird base is 50% non-superwash merino and 50% silk. And my other new colorway based on Game of Thrones is called Mother of Dragons, and obviously it's named after Daenerys. She's my favorite character in the entire series. I just love her. I think she's such a balance of being sort of serene and tranquil and feminine, and yet she also has this fiery strength in her, which I think is just so cool and so great to see portrayed on TV. It's really nice to see a character that kind of has that balance on television, because I think a lot of the time female characters kind of are one extreme or the other, and it's great to see someone with a little more balance. So anyway, this is the Mother of Dragons colorway on my Gosling base. And there'll be 1 skein of that available. There will also be 1 skein on my Dove super bulky base. And there will be 2 skeins available on my Goldfinch DK base. And that is it for shop updates. Just to give you kind of a teaser of what will be coming up soon in Sweet Sparrow Yarns, I would love to do some more Game of Thrones colorways. And then, being the Star Trek nerd that I am also working on developing a line of Star Trek colorways. Some of the colorway names include Tea Earl Grey Hot, Indubitably My Dear Data, and Shut Up Wesley. So look for those in the coming weeks, and I will show you, I'll show you skeins of those once I feel like I have them perfected. So I guess I'd better get to editing and get this posting on YouTube, because then I have to go to work. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful week filled with lots of creativity and making, and I will see you next week. Bye!